We should be live now. Welcome everyone to Fly Like the Pegasi. I am Aphinity, and this is...
I'm Cornflakes.
Hello. We are now live, and hopefully we didn't get cut off there. So, what are we here to do? We are here to describe why our music is cutting out.
Oh, Lord.
All right, so we're here to do basically a demonstration and a kind of a how, well, maybe not a how-to, but like an introduction to FPV drones, and specifically the ones that you've seen on things like DRL. And you should probably bring that closer. Yeah, there you go. So sorry, Androids are causing us problems right now. So my name's Aphinity. You've probably seen me in a couple different panels. I also run Brony Feud. I'm also the chair of Vancouver Pony Expo. So come to Vancouver Pony Expo, or come to Vancouver, where we actually fly these live. And maybe we'll be doing that at future BronyCons too. We're going to give you a demonstration of exactly what FPV drones are, how cool they are. And we're actually going to show you some live flight footage, like while we're flying. So we've got it all set up here, and we borrowed an office space from from a family member, which was very nice of them to offer us this space. And so we've set up some gates to fly through, and just sort of give you an idea of what it's like to fly these amazing aircraft. But we'll start out with the basics. So basics are: what is an FPV drone? What is a racing drone? That's two terms that people use. Or what is an FPV quadcopter, which is the term I prefer? Well, it's anything from this to this. And they can get bigger than this too. We refer to them based on their size, or specifically their prop size. So in my hands right now, I'm holding what a lot of people refer to as a tiny whoop. Tiny whoops is the kind of term, it's kind of like Kleenex. While it's not the only whoop, as they call it, it was a team of racers called Big Whoop that first figured out how to take these cheap little drones, put a camera on them, and fly them around. So they started calling them Tiny Whoops as a joke to their team name, which was Big Whoop. So it just kind of stuck, and it became Whoop. So this is now a Whoop with the ducted fans and blades, and Cornflakes has one as well. These are the ones we're going to be flying today because, unfortunately, as beautiful as Vancouver is, the weather today is not as beautiful. And we picked this amazing location, but unfortunately, it is just not going to work for us to demonstrate for you today. So we're going to maybe fly one. We'll decide if we want to do that.
We'll decide if we want to risk a race coming up and soak our electronics in water, but it might be worth it.
Yeah. We have most of our quads are actually they're actually conformal coated, as we call it, where they're coated in a sort of small layer
of nail polish.
Yeah, it's expensive nail polish. That's basically a good way to put it. And by the way, we can see you guys in the NeuroNet stream. So if you have any questions in the stream, by all means ask it. We'll see what we can do to answer that for you. In the meantime, we'll show you exactly what we're talking about with these quadcopters. So what these are not is they are not drones in the standard sense that you're probably used to seeing. Drones like Mavics, like Phantoms, like Inspires, anything by DJI for the most part, although that's confusing because now they make an FPV system, but that's it. Anyway. So those ones are the ones you can buy at places like Best Buy, which is awesome, but they're not what we're doing. Those are drones in the classic sense. So a drone would be what?
A technical actual drone is something that can fly itself. So like, for example, I have a Phantom 3. I can poke on my iPad and tell it to go fly to Gross Mountain and come back autonomously. I don't have to touch it. It does that. Once it's autonomous and you don't have to do anything, that is when it's legally considered a drone. But we fly something where we're fully manual. It's fully manual. We're in control the entire time. That is something called a UAV, an unmanned aerial vehicle.
Yes.
Technically.
Or just frankly a quadcopter. So the reason I showed you all of these is we have some different ones here. You can see that these are very similar to each other in how they all have the same kind of props size. I tried to put the same props on all of them so they make more sense. We all control those with the controller that is blocked by our camera, unfortunately. So that camera right there, or this controller right here, or that controller right there. These are our two our radios, as we often refer to them, or radio transmitters. Mine looks more like an Xbox controller, but these are actually both by the same company. They're both by a company called FR Sky or Free Sky, which is not the same as other brands. There's another company called Fly Sky, which is a totally different one. There's Spectrum, there's Futaba, there's
there's
Crossfire, there's R9, whatever. This is R9. Anyway, there's different protocols, and we won't get into that. But the bottom line is you need one of these, and you need one of these quadcopters. So these vary in price from anywhere from about $100 for the basic starter kind of whoop, if you will, which will usually come with a really cheap set of goggles, which are these. Goggles are the biggest investment you can make. They have TV screens in them, and they're essentially a mobile TV screen that you wear on your face.
It's like a bad VR system.
Yeah, but it's not VR because and people say that all the time. Oh, is that VR? It's like, well, no, it's not VR because we're actually looking at like current stuff. So these are little screens. You can actually adjust them to your face, so they can actually slide back and forth. So you can actually adjust to your eyes. You can see that. Kind of hard to see. Anyways, they also have a receiver in them, and this is picking up analog video. So it is not exactly HD quality, and you're going to see that in a minute here. So Cornflakes, why don't you go first?
You should watch because I built the track.
What's that?
You should watch the track.
Watch the track. Sorry?
Wait, what do you mean go?
Oh, yeah, the track. That's fine. We're going to be watching it for you. So why don't you fly first?
Oh, that's what I meant.
So yeah. Okay, sorry. So Cornflakes is going to fly his whoop first. So he's going to plug in his battery, and I'm going to switch this to our FPV view so you can actually see the feed here. So this is a live feed. So you're actually seeing. I just noticed that my icon is in my face. That's not good. Now you can see something. So you see it comes up and says beta flight. Hey, look, it's us again. So this is a live feed from his camera on his quadcopter. So if you hold that maybe over here, you'll be able to see. Just go on top of my quad. So there we go. No, not quite. Further in. On top of the poutine box. By the way, McDonald's has poutine in Canada, and we just wanted to flex that. Totally can't see that. That's fine. Anyway, it's all good. It's all good.
For results.
All right. So we set up a little course in here, and we're going to fly it. So we do everything from just flying our yards. We go to parks. You got the motor. It's acting up. So we fly anything from parks to our house to like we're in an office right now. So, I mean, it really varies on what we're aiming to do. You need a Fat Shark battery, fam?
Oh, I'm good.
The beeping is because his Fat Shark goggles have a dead battery in them. So we set up this little course. Sorry about the video glitching. That is normal, by the way. This is an analog video feed, so you're going to get a little bit of glitching here and there. And the system we're using is a little more glitchy than some others because it's a very cheap little USB thing that plugs in as an HD, as a camera. So what you're seeing here is he's just flying around. He's flying in a mode that we call angle mode, also known as auto level mode. When you're flying tiny whoops, we find that that's kind of the best way to fly. A lot of people always ask when you're first starting these, should I fly in what we call acro mode, or should I fly in auto level mode? And I always say that auto level mode is generally the best one to start with, especially with these when you're flying inside. If you hit something like he just did there, which by the way is completely normal, these have ducts on them, they can't hurt anything. Then you just kind of bounce off and you keep going. Whereas if you're not in auto level mode, when you hit something, it will actually send the quad in a totally different direction and you have to manually recover. So he's going downstairs now.
I'm losing video.
Oh, you're losing video. That's Sugar, by the way, that was sitting down. She's used to this. She actually used to fly these with us. She kind of got bored of it.
She quit like a quitter.
She draws now. So you can see that Cornflakes is not looking at the quad. He's looking at his screen. So he's seeing exactly what you're seeing on the screen right now. His battery is still good. He can probably fly for a little bit longer. That's what that flashing voltage is. He just has his warning set a little too low, so it's warning him even though there's not really anything to worry about. We wanted to fly outside for you guys, but unfortunately the weather just didn't cooperate. And now he's doing the walk of shame. So, I mean, this gives you an idea of what we do. We tend to get together, we play some tunes, we fly quadcopters, we build them. I should mention as well that each of these quadcopters was built by us. We didn't buy them. This one was built, Cornflakes built this himself. I built my own. We build them in slightly different ways from each other, but most of the we actually agree with having the camera on the front. That's a very unusual thing, by the way. Normally the camera's up here, and he just tried to face punch me. He just tried to fly this into my face, that guy. Anyways, so that's that. So I'm going to plug in mine now, and I'm going to give mine a rip.
Should probably show you the course.
That's okay. We're also, by the way, both on the same frequency. So that allows us to just swap back and forth. So when he unplugs, I can plug in mine. And apologies for the lines on my video. This one actually has a bit of a problem voltage regulator. And just to show off, I'm going to show off my radio that has this nifty noise pack.
Where's an out-of-control vehicle when you need one? Aircraft disarmed. Crazy Pegasi flying mode.
Oh, I better change that to...
Angle mode.
There we go. All right, thank you, Rainbow Dash. All right. And, oh, I don't have the right channel, so it'll just take me a second to get this FET switched over. Of course, you can't see the fact that I'm on the wrong one because this is all in my goggles. Normally, I fly a different channel, but I had to change so we were both on the same one for this panel. So, all right, I am now on F2, and I'm going to fly. So maybe Cornflakes has something to talk about now.
I don't think close it. Do you want me to navigate the course with you?
Well, I mean, you could tell me where I'm going at least.
So, if you make your way back.
Okay, I'll come back.
Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. So if you go forward, you're gonna hit the first gate.
This gate here?
Yep.
Yeah.
No. The gate up on the ledge.
Yeah. Oh, one.
Yeah. So this one.
Yeah.
And then down there, to your left on the table. To left on the table.
Down here?
Yeah. So through the one on your right. There.
Oh, not that one.
Yeah. So the blue one.
We didn't plan this course before we did this. So
the blue one, then the green one.
blue one. I can't see what.
Then the green one there. Okay. So that one.
I'm having trouble, man. I've been flying finals too much.
I was really out of practice. I'll get you.
Thanks, man. And my goggles are fogging up, so I better fix that too. It is not an easy thing to do, guys. In case it's not obvious, I mean, we've both been flying for years now, and we both still crash. We both still have problems with. Nope, I'm good. That's just that's how small the camera is on this one. Cornflakes are just commenting on how small the camera is on this quad, and you can see
mine's a lot bigger. I have like a really big lens on there.
Very small. Yeah. So they've evolved. Things have evolved. All right, now I can see. It's not all fogged up.
All right, there you go. And then to your left, there you go.
One, right?
Yep. And then immediately that one. And then through the hallway to the first hoop. To the right.
Right or left?
Right.
Okay, right.
Around the flag, and then.
Whoa.
Careful.
Okay, I am not used to this quad at all. Sorry, I just built this one. I have not tested my.
To your new right, onto the one on the couch. That thing, the chair. Sorry, in front of you.
Okay. There. I'll get it.
And then around the flag to the other way around, but it's fine.
Like that?
Other way around. So left to right. So if you're facing us.
Yeah.
And then around it. Yeah. And then that's the course.
Okay.
Side sugar.
I'll actually do the course.
That wasn't the course.
That wasn't the course?
That was
right.
the
That
course.
was the class. That was the.
So for those of you who live around the North Shore, we run a league called Banggood, where we're one of the only non-for-profit tiny whoop drone leagues in Metro Vancouver, and we try and fly at really cool places. So we go to bars. We'll go to bars. We'll go to where have we gone? We've flown around like $1 million high-speed camera equipment before.
Toy Traders.
Toy Traders. Oh, we flew around.
Which is the world's largest, North America's largest toy store.
They have a Hulk the size of this building. That's not an exaggeration. Or maybe it is a little bit, but we try and fly really, really cool places. So if you guys are in the Lower Mainland, or you want to check out the group, we have a Facebook group, we have a Telegram, we have a website. It's just literally Vanwoop, VANWOOP.ca. And then you can find our Facebook group where we post. Even if you're not from here, if you want to check out like our really cool photos and stuff. We usually have some pretty good adventures when we go that most tiny whoopers don't usually get to fly.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And the nice thing about these is because they're so small and they're so light. I mean, we literally fly them into each other's faces as a joke because it's just funny. Because you can't hurt anyone.
It's called a face punch. I attempted a face punch on you, but it didn't work.
I mean, we'll quite often just be sitting here in the goggles because, of course, you can't see anything. And then I'll just suddenly hear and I'm like, whoa, and I'll just duck because instinctively it's going to hit you in the face. Anyways,
a really good thing to do at conventions is if you're flying these around and someone goes and yells at you, you can't fly drones in this convention. Finn will usually just face punch me really hard to prove a point that it's not dangerous.
You can't hurt.
And then usually they get pretty salty and walk away when they realize they're wrong.
This may have happened before.
Maybe.
But yeah, at the same time, I should point out these are not allowed to be flown everywhere. So it's actually.
I have flown in an airport. Fight me, Finn.
Okay, but you can't fly anywhere. I mean, quite often you have problems with
Karens.
Yeah, you'll get some people who don't understand. But I mean, at the same time, if you're flying a quad, like any of these ones on this side of the table, okay, these are dangerous.
They're really loud, and
they're really loud. Yeah,
I'm really hoping we can fly at least one just to like demonstrate because these are so different. Like you kind of see us bumping into walls and going slow. Like we're not practiced with these, but we're practiced with those.
Yeah. And
we can, I think I raced a Tesla once, and the Tesla lost. Went 140 kilometers an hour before the Tesla gave up.
On his YouTube, by the way.
I don't know where my YouTube is.
It was.
It was. It might still be there.
Yeah. Anyway, there is a YouTube video of a drone chasing a Tesla, and that's the one. So, a lot of people ask, what are the different flight modes and stuff like that. I'm noticing Modern is asking a question about that. So the different flight modes, there's two different types of flight modes. There's one where you are essentially sitting level at all times, and then you press one of the directions, and it will, whoops, if I don't drop my quad here, if you press one direction, it'll go that direction until you let go, and it'll auto level. You press it again, and it'll auto level. Once you let go.
Kind of like a Phantom, the typical Phantom where any drone that you buy from the store, it's going to apply this mode. Except this one will drift a little bit, and most of the ones without GPSs will drift a little bit.
Yeah. So the difference is if you're flying in something called Acro Mode, or there's different words for it. There's actually no official Acro Mode.
Yeah.
That's a description of what we often call air mode or just rate mode, which is really confusing because like when I got started, I'm like, well, where's Acro? How do I switch to it? Well, there isn't.
It's just enabled by default.
Yeah, so just by default, if you're not flying another mode, basically you're flying that. So the way that one works is when you press forward or whatever, it's going to go forward, and when I let go, it's going to keep going forward until I press back again. If I can do that. If I press back again, and then it will stay there. If I press back too much, it'll keep going backwards, so I have to keep constantly correcting. The advantage of that is it will always stay in one direction as you leave it. Or you can go upside down and do flips and all that kind of stuff, which we could demonstrate, but it's hard to do with these because they don't have a whole lot of power. With the other ones that we have, that is no problem and something we do all the time. These ones we actually regularly do Acro Mode, and those are the ones you're going to see YouTubers and stuff like that doing really crazy effects.
You have like a full 360. It's really freeing once you know how to do it because you pretty much are in charge of every single propeller. And once you get used to that, and it's really hard. Once you get used to it, it's like riding a bike. You don't think about it, and you have full 360 up, down, every dimension to do whatever you want.
Yeah. So the nice thing about this hobby in particular is it is so diverse. I mean, there's two major topics that people like to do with these. And that's racing, which is kind of what we were just doing there, except obviously we were not very practiced and very, very, very rusty, which is funny because we run a drone racing league. I mean, go figure, right? But we run a tiny whoop racing league, but we don't pretend to be the best pilots. We just like running it because we like cool places to fly. But then there's also racing outside, which is a totally different experience. And I had a whole bunch of footage to show you, and I left it on my USB stick at home. So I don't have it to show you. But what I do have is we have some footage of something you did. Yeah.
So one of our friends, we finally manipulated and convinced him into buying a drone. So he just went balls deep. He spent $1,500, bought everything. He bought a drone. He brought Fat Sharks, which are like $400, the goggles. He bought the highest end radio you could buy. And one of the things to practice is he bought a little tiny whoop. And it's a lot more recent than what we have, so it's a lot more powerful.
So mine's actually equivalent, but
is it?
Yeah, this one actually has the same motors.
Oh, okay. Then I take that back. But he let me fly it around, and just so happened there was a raccoon in the yard, so we kind of chased it, and the raccoon went up a tree, and we kind of bugged the raccoon.
So here, we'll rather than talk about it, let's just show you. So we should point out that this is in sitting places back here. This is not bad. This is flying one of these times. So there's a raccoon. He's not. That doesn't have to whatever I should have. Raccoons are not exactly desirable. This serves as a bit of a warning that you really need to the hawk thing was obviously, so he swooped down. The hawk came down and like swooped down and tried to get my quad. It was actually this particular one right here. Oh, it's actually out of shot, but this one here. So this particular quad I was flying, I was just doing freestyle around the park and doing some like tree diving and stuff, and I was just flying straight, and this hawk comes down and just like tries to basically buzz me, and some random guy that was there just saw this and said, "Hey man, did you see that hawk that almost got you?" I'm like, "No, what are you talking about?" And he goes, "Yeah, you just landed in that tree." I'm like, "Oh, okay, I saw a bird land there. I didn't know what it was." So it just kind of sat there, and I've got again footage I would have had, and I don't have it. But I flew up to him and didn't get too close. I mean, it was like 5 feet, 6 feet away, and just kind of hovered there, and he just kind of looked at me like. And then, I just let him sit there and then took off. But anyways, it was really cool. So you get the wildlife that interacts with you quite often. We have crows and everything else.
Seagulls are a big one. If you're flying a Phantom, they really don't like white Phantoms for some reason. Like, I have never had an issue with seagulls, but when you have a big white thing with 9-inch propellers in the air, they just all swarm you, and I don't know why.
They can see it as a threat or something.
Yeah.
All right, well, did you want to fly another pack?
Sure. I think I actually do want to fly outside, too. So.
Yeah, let's do some.
I'm willing to sacrifice my quad.
It's actually looking like it's not raining right now. Okay, well we'll turn our antenna towards the outside and see if we can make it go. Turn your power up. You haven't as well.
Are we right now?
Yeah, I'm just saying that if you're. Oh, you want to fly indoors first?
Oh, I thought we were okay. Well,
yeah, no, go ahead.
Okay, well,
yeah, no, go ahead.
I was confused.
Sorry. So the big thing with this hobby that I always warn everyone is it is a very it can be a very challenging hobby. Excuse me. It can be a very challenging hobby to get started. And one of the things people always ask is like, well, how do I get started? We're going to post a bunch of links for you. But at the moment anyway, the big question that most people have is, how do I buy one? And you can buy pre-made ones. You can buy ones like we were talking about a friend of ours who just dropped a bunch of money on like the high-end stuff. You don't have to do that. You can buy certainly a lot less expensive options that are honestly fine. It's just a question of how much you want to do this and how long you expect to be doing it. For $100, you can get a complete kit that comes with goggles and everything else and a radio. It is a very basic quadcopter and a basic set of goggles and a basic radio and everything else, but it does work and it does all the things you're seeing on the screen right now. It just might not be as nice of quality as the stuff we have. So you really have to ask yourself, is this something that I think I'm going to be doing a lot? Because what will end up happening is if you do it a lot, you're going to take everything you spend $100 for, you're going to basically throw it in the garbage or give it to a friend to play with, and you're going to buy all new stuff anyway. So that's kind of a decision you have to make. There's a number of places in the US, Canada, and abroad that actually sell a lot of the same products. We deal with a company called SN Hobbies here in Banggood. They also sponsor our event, so we're really happy to have them on board, and they're very, very nice people. They have incredibly good prices and selection for.
They actually beat China surprisingly.
Yeah, they often beat China in places like Banggood, which is another place you can go to. Although you're. That sounded nasty. Banggood is another place you can get this stuff. There is actually U.S. warehouses for Banggood, so they will actually ship relatively quickly relative to shipping out of China. Most of the good companies sell and ship a lot of the same stuff. I will warn you that, typically speaking, be a little bit wary about buying the cheap stuff. Some of it can be a problem. And some of it isn't so bad. It just really depends on, what you're talking about.
I built my entire quad, my first quad on cheap stuff. And when they say if you buy cheap, you buy twice, that is so true. I broke everything. Yeah, so literally everything.
Yeah, so you end up buying it twice because you bought something that just ultimately fails. I had the same experience. My first quad was by a company called eSheen. I don't have any particular problems with eSheen, but face punch. That was a very light face punch. Oh, how nice of you. So one of the things that, like when you buy a cheap quad, you're getting cheaper components for a reason. Like they're meant to be something to get started or something to be a little bit more economical for certain particular people, but it's not designed to last. And a lot of the products are, strangely enough, made in the same factories, but yet don't live as long as the same.
They're probably rejects.
Yeah, maybe they're rejects. Maybe they're like extra ones that they use cheaper components on. It's hard to say. Like
I have a video transmitter, and I accidentally was heat shrinking something, and the heat from my heat shrink peeled off the sticker, and underneath the sticker was another sticker for another company.
Yeah. So quite often, if you know anything about manufacturing in China, they'll quite often just produce as many as they can, whether or not they have a sale for them. And then if they don't sell them, they'll just sell them under their own brand or to another company or something like that. So we usually recommend, if you can, spend the extra money and get the brand name stuff. And I say that, like, you're going to look around, you're going to see a number of products. Basically anything on Banggood, if it's being featured on Banggood, there's a good chance that's a cheaper product. And I'm not meaning to downplay Banggood. I bought a lot of stuff from them over the years, but that's also why I feel like I can say that. And I think you agree.
They're a little bit shady too. Like the other day, one of our other friends was buying some stuff from a project we're working on, and they applied a $3 coupon, and it raised the price by $10 and then knocked down $3. So just be careful.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that. So our recommendation is, if you can, go to a local hobby shop and get them to tell you what they think you should get. And just be aware they're trying to make a sale. So, I mean, obviously go in there with some knowledge. But if they tell you that one product is crap, there's probably a reason they're telling you that. All right, so let's get started. What do you need to get started? Well, I brought a bunch of stuff with me because I'm just like that. So what do you need? Well, the typical quadcopter comes with a bunch of stuff. I really have everything. So this is a bunch of stuff I just have as spares in case I need it, and also in case I want to build another one. I am subscribed to a product called Quad Box, which is like a subscription box for FPV people. So you've got your frame. This is called the CL1 frame, which is a really good starter frame. It's just it looks a lot like, well, it doesn't look like any of these, to be honest with you, but it looks probably more like this one than any of them. Just really basic arms and a really long chassis that you can put stuff inside of. You need, well, not this one. You need a camera, and this camera is, again, an analog camera, which is the same as what we run in all of these. So you can see it up there. It's that nice blue one up there. You need a camera. You need a flight controller, which is the thing that controls the quad and tells the motors tells the speed controller what speed to send the motors at. Oops, it also has a gyro in it. So it's what basically stabilizes your quad. It's what you actually change your or put the software onto and program. You need an antenna of some kind, and you can either go high dollar like one of these ones from ShoreRC, which, if I could see where I'm putting this, you can get a high dollar one like this, which will cost you like $20, or you can get a linear one, which won't cost you that. You can get speed controllers, and you can get 4-in-1s that are all together in one board, or you can get individual ones, which is what Cornflakes prefers. On all my quads, they're all 4-in-1s, but this is individual ones that go on each arm, and you would wire that to each motor. Then, of course, you need motors. Let me get the one that's open. So, and my radio is complaining at me. Motors, what kind of like this? They come like that. They're not soldered, and you have to solder that to the speed controller yourself. You need 4 of them, obviously. I always recommend buying 5. You need battery straps, which will strap around the quad and let you hold your battery in place. You need a video transmitter, and the video transmitter is what sends your signal to your goggles. So this is what the camera would wire to, and also the flight controller.
A good antenna will make or break your video. So you can buy the best possible video transmitter, but if you have a bad antenna, you'll get bad signal.
Yeah, and I mean, like, worse than what you saw. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, that video looked like garbage.
You should see how bad this antenna is. This is the worst cheapo antenna you could possibly buy.
Yeah, so that's what we call a dipole antenna, which a lot of people start with. It's just essentially a wire. There's nothing special about it. It's just a wire, and your video transmitter is transmitting that. So that's everything. The other thing you need is a receiver. That's the one thing I don't have in this box. And the receiver is what receives the signal from your radio transmitter. So you need something that's compatible with your radio. This particular one uses FR Sky, and that's 2.4 gigahertz. Some people prefer to run a longer range one.
This is 900 megahertz. This is a much, I think it's a shorter wavelength. Is it?
Yeah.
Yes,
no, it's longer.
It's longer. And then, so that means I can fly a lot farther. It's technically rated for 10 kilometers. I lose video at about 3. Also, I didn't tell you I've flown 10 kilometers. I've always flown line of sight.
No, because it's illegal to fly more than line of sight. You would only fly line of sight, and never only in the goggles. You always have a spotter.
Of course.
Of course. Because that's the law in many places.
It's the law.
Law.
The law.
breaking the law. Anyway, so we have, obviously, there's lots of different types of quadcopters. That's the next thing people ask is like, which one should I get? If I'm going to get one, where should I start? Should I go right to 5-inch where I can put my GoPro on it? Which you can see here, this has a GoPro session mount on the front.
Fun fact, that GoPro was lost scuba diving and don't need it anymore.
Yeah. So a lot of people, in fact, any of the YouTubers you see that are flying will usually have a GoPro on the front of their quad. They're not actually getting video out of the quad itself. Unless they have one like this, which is actually, this is brand spanking new. Unless they have a camera that also doubles as an HD recorder. And this particular one is incredibly small. We're talking that big. Well, okay, not just that big. It's also got a board on it. But it's small enough that will actually fit into basically any quadcopter you want.
This is basically a GoPro.
This is essentially a GoPro, but it is small enough to fit in your hand like that. And it runs off of a single battery. One of these, actually, the ones I was flying with the Tiny Whoop. So you can actually buy Tiny Whoops that actually have this already built into it, and it essentially just sits on the top like this. And then the camera's on the front. So this one will actually record HD for you. However, it will not record the same quality that you're going to see from a GoPro. It is good, but it's not.
It's good, but it really depends on your lens too. And you can't stick a very big lens on one of those.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is that if anyone knows anything about cameras, you know that the lens will make or break your video.
Even though if it might be very similar to a GoPro can have a much bigger lens. If you were to, in theory, stick a really big lens on there, which you wouldn't, I guess you could get GoPro quality footage.
The advantage of going with something like that, though, is, of course, it's a lot lighter. So you can put it on something like this that is not going to be super intimidating, and you can theoretically fly in places like in an office or maybe a dance. I've done this before. I have a slightly larger whoop. It's actually running 2-inch propellers instead of these 31 millimeter propellers. And the 2-inch one, I can fly that anywhere. And I've done it. Actually, I've gone to conventions, I've gone to raves, I've gone to dances, I've gone to all kinds of things. Flew it through the middle of people, and nobody even really notices because it's
just another blinking light in the air.
Yeah, it just happens to be flying. So I mean, because it's so noisy in those environments, they don't notice the noise. So it's a really great medium for recording if you're a camera person and you're looking for a unique way to get a unique shot. There are a lot of people getting full-time gigs doing FPV now for film and for TV and movies. It's quite cool. It's neat to see that too. So, all right, so getting back into the different types. So, okay, these are what we refer to as 5-inch because they use 5-inch diameter propellers. There are different kinds of propellers. You can get quad-bladed, you can get dual-bladed. It just depends on what you want. Tri-blade is by far the most common and the most popular. As far as frame goes, you've got different kinds of frames that are geared towards different things. This frame, for example, is it's actually made by a company called Catalyst Machine Works, and it's designed to be a durable, very durable. This thing is incredibly, it's a tank. A very durable freestyle, not lightweight, but lightweight enough to just still do tricks quad. And it also has the ability to have a GoPro on the front. I just don't have it on the front. So this particular quad is one of the oldest in terms of equipment that I have, and this is what I fly when I want to go out and do flippity floppities. And you'll notice that the camera is pointing forward, but it's not so far forward. I don't know how well you can see that. Sorry, the lighting's not great. The camera is essentially, I'll just get it closer here. The camera is pointing not fully up. It's pointing more forward facing. That's so that when I'm flying with this thing, I can actually take it and do loops and come around and still see what I'm doing without going forward at the same time. Whereas if you're doing a racing drone, which is one of these ones, for example, these are more of a pod focus. They're meant to be lightweight. This is a Snapdragon, it's called, by Noah Schnapp. And it's got a pod where the camera, you can see that the camera is incredibly strong angle. We're talking like 45 degrees. So when this is flying forward and that camera is facing forward, the quad is doing that. So it's quite a bit more forward, and it's it's meant to be fast. So yeah, the problem with that is, of course, when you're doing things like level flight, I can't see when I'm landing. Like when I go to land, I have to just kind of circle the same spot until I can land because I can't see anything. You don't like the camera
I don't
like that. Yeah. but it does make you go faster, and it does change how you go. So that's 5-inch. 5-inch is by far the most popular in this.
It's way more fun, in my opinion, than these. You have so much power. It's like Honda Civic versus like a Tesla.
Well, there are some fast Civics and some slow Teslas, but
Yeah,
not.
that is true.
Yeah.
You're very typical. Anyway, I don't know.
Anyways, yeah. So there's also different sizes. So this is a very popular size right now. This is one that we refer to as or just style of quad, which we refer to as a toothpick. And the reason they call it a toothpick is because the arms are meant to be very, very small. It's meant to be incredibly lightweight. If you want to talk real toothpick, that's this one. This thing uses the same batteries as a Tiny Whoop. So it means it uses this tiny little 1-cell battery, which I've got on the table here. And yet I still get almost 5 minutes of flight time on this, which, by the way, most of these only get 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Like the most.
If you're flying really slow, you will get like 5, 6, 7 minutes, but no one wants to. You're not driving 30 in the 60 zone, so you're going to floor it. You're going to have fun with it. And when you do that, the harder you fly, like I get like 2 minutes, which is, I don't know, it's not very good. But most people get 3 to 4 minutes, depending on your battery.
Yeah. One of these, like this one, I actually got 10 minutes of flight time. You were there when I did that. It was over 10 minutes. I couldn't believe it. And that was on a little battery like this. So a little 3S battery, meaning 3 cells. So, I mean, it's incredible how it goes. And then you go up to these, and this is the one we use for our 5-inch, which can be anywhere from 4 to 6 cells typically. 4 is by far the most popular. 6 is becoming more popular. More voltage means less amperage, which means less voltage sag, which is a thing when you're pushing the crazy amount of 120 amps out of these motors. Believe it or not, that is how many amps these can put out. It's incredible. All right, well, why don't we do some more flying then? How much time do we have left? So at 4:36. So we've got Pacific time anyway. We still have some daylight here, and the rain is not terrible. Do you want to fly or do you want me to fly?
I'll fly.
Go ahead.
You have a battery? I didn't charge it.
Of course, Cornflakes doesn't charge a battery, so I got to give him a battery. Not the first time either.
I have a rule where you don't go home unless all your batteries are drained. And I wasn't very confident in the rain, so I just didn't charge. Because I hate discharging my batteries because I can charge them at like 3-4 amps, but you discharge them at like half an amp, and it takes all day, and you have to hear the buzzing of your discharger in the corner.
I should point out that this is typically how a battery will look. It'll just be pretty innocuous and plain Jane. There's a company called Rebel that makes them, and they make them look like juice boxes. And there's a joke on it. It actually even has like a warning label about things. It's got a nutrition label, which is just hilarious. These actually really messed with if you ever take these on the flight because they think it might be a juice box. It's even got like an FPV pilot and like a hey, this kid is missing thing. Anyways, so they're quite a fun company. That's why I specifically brought these ones. High C is a joke because the C rating is a thing. This is a 100 C pack, so this is a high C pack. Yeah, anyway,
100 C is the C rating of the pack is how many amps it can discharge. So the higher C rating, the more you can push your battery.
Yeah. There you go.
Cool. So this
is literally the second flight of that pack, so don't break it.
I'll land at like 14.5.
Whatever.
Yeah. Sugar, do you want to come up for me?
So while Cornflakes is going out there, I'm just going to talk a little bit more about things that you can do to sort of get interested. I see a question here. Modern was asking, are there any batteries that are more high-end? Yes, there are. We just bought some, yeah. We actually we both agree that there's a company called China Hobby Line, which is a really unfortunate name because they're really not a Chinese hobbyist company. They call themselves that. But that's what this particular battery is a China Hobby Line. They have lasted us so well.
They are really good.
For the price, they're amazing.
They outperform the really expensive high-end batteries.
Yeah, at least in terms of longevity. Like I've had mine for 2 years or 3 years.
Oh yeah, no, mine are just starting to die, and we've had them forever.
Yeah, it's been forever. We bought them at the same time because we went on a group purchase. But anyway, China Hobby Line has some great stuff. The higher the C rating, even though the C rating has been proven to be a bunch of bull cookies, it's still a good measurement. So I'm just noticing I don't have any audio. Oh, there it is. Okay. I can scare me for a second. Just go set up and I'll be able to see. Okay. As long as you're on F2 on that.
Yeah,
so
should I get my phone
I'll just turn our antenna around.
Okay. Give me a thumbs up or something.
I'm good anytime then.
Okay.
So you just go ahead.
Cheers.
I'll call you if there's any problems, okay? Or I'll call Sugar. All right, so Cornflakes is going to go downstairs, and so anyway, yeah, a lot of people, batteries are a thing. The bottom line is that the higher the C rating, typically speaking, the better the battery, the higher the quality will be. The quality is all dependent on discharge, capacity, and longevity, and a lot of them don't get. You basically pick 2 of those 3. So if you want a really high performing pack, you get less. Yeah. Okay, I'm seeing some stuff from Iggy here. It's a separate chat for questions. Yeah, sorry. Okay, what receiver module do you use, and where did I get that RD Foils pack? Well, the RD Foils pack, in case you're just tuning in, is this one.
I guess I overdid it. Aircraft armed. Aircraft disarmed.
And then they've got other ones like, oops.
Crazy Pegasus flying mode. Angle mode.
So that's a bit of is where I got that. I made that myself. And when I say I made that myself, it was using recordings from my phone, if you catch my drift. So there's certain advantages to living in Vancouver. That's all I'm going to say. That's the first thing. The receiver I use an FR Sky 2.4 gigahertz antenna. And I'm going to tune to the FPV feed here. Okay, so looks like we're getting feed. So this is from outside. Here he goes. You can see immediately how much faster the quad is. Sorry about the video, guys. It's not going to be perfect. We're going through a window, and this is across the street. You can see there's Cornflakes. He's flying around himself doing what's called an orbit. And there's Sugar probably filming or something. Sugar comes with us in a lot of different places. So this is called a power loop, where you're looping around. He's doing a little spin in place there. So he's flying in what's called Acro Mode, and Acro Mode is obviously very different than other kinds of flying. He is manually controlling this. Every single movement that it makes, he has to correct for. So when he wants to keep from going towards the ground here, he has to pull up. You'll notice there's a little bit more jittery. It's a little bit more like up and down. Excuse me. So he's going to do a tree dive there. You got to watch out. There's some people there, so I'm sure he sees them. Oh, almost went in the tree there. By the way, yes, they do get stuck in trees, and yes, it is quite often a problem that we have to go and deal with, climbing trees or throwing things into the tree to get them out. So he's doing a punch out here, doing a really big power loop. We're in the building to the right, so you can see Vancouver. This is North Vancouver, by the way, is where we physically are. So we're right across the street in a place called the North Vancouver Auto Mall. If you look it up on Google Maps, you can find us there. The Auto Mall is just behind us. You can see our little dog there. That's Penny. And this is an empty lot right behind us. So you can see in his voltage there, he's getting down to 13.7 volts, 13.8. So he's probably going to do a few more loop-de-loops here and come back in. When he's on the throttle, you'll notice the voltage dips a lot. That number right below the voltage, by the way, is called RSSI. That is the quality of his signal from his radio to the drone, so that if that gets below a certain level, it means that he's going to lose control of his quadcopter. Ooh, he's getting real fancy here. So you can see it's more or less dancing in the sky. This is what we call freestyle. So FPV freestyle is very much about just kind of doing things that look cool, doing neat tricks. I'm trying to call them as I see them here. He was doing an orbit a second ago, and he's done. So he didn't want to kill my battery too dead because he knows I don't like it when he does that. But he's going to unplug the battery and we lose the feed. So that's how it goes. So essentially we're just flying around and doing acrobatics in the sky. That's really what this is about. And it is, as Cornflakes said earlier, it is so freeing because you can go anywhere. I mean, like, I know I'm certainly not alone when I say that I wish I was a Pegasi. And I would love to be able to go up into the sky and just fly around and go wherever the heck I want. Well, this is the closest thing I have ever found to it. It's not perfect. It's definitely not like an ideal it's definitely not an ideal answer to it because, I mean, obviously you're not physically feeling the sensation of flying, but it is so close to it. Like, I mean, when you get to put on these goggles and all you're seeing is the video feed that you just saw, it really does feel like an extension of yourself. I love it. It's probably, well, it is my favorite hobby I've ever been part of, and one of the reasons I feel so passionate about it and love to share it with new people. Yeah, I know this isn't a Brony topic, but this is something that there's a lot of nerds in Brony. There's a lot of geeks and tech people in Brony, and I think this is the kind of topic where if you didn't know it existed, you wouldn't know to try it. So I guess all I can tell you is that spend that $100 and get a cheap one and try it out. Don't buy it from Walmart because that's not going to do the same thing. You do have to go to either a hobby shop or online, and you do want specifically an FPV drone, not anything else. Oh, what receiver in my goggles, Iggy? Sorry. Okay, so I know there's a bit of delay on this. So this receiver in my goggles is called a Clearview. It's a Clearview module. It's one of the more expensive modules out there. I'm quite happy with it, although there was a number of people that didn't have great experience with it. The menu sucks, but it's great otherwise. It's fantastic.
I'm using a cheaper TrueD. So this is like the older technology, and Fin is a new technology. So mine will switch between which antenna can get better signal, and Fin's will mash the signal together. So it looks prettier than mine.
Yeah. Mine. If you notice when Cornflakes was flying, you got a lot of rolling shutter and stuff because the signal's a little bit weak.
Also, my props are bent.
Yeah, it was a little bit shuddery. It wasn't bad actually.
Is it? Okay.
Anyway, the rolling video and stuff like that is an effect of analog video. And analog video it has a sync signal as well as the data on each line. So that sync signal, if it ever gets lost, the video will start rolling. This module doesn't do that. There's a couple of them that are meant to do that. They do. I don't remember the term for it. Interlace? No, it's not interlace.
I don't know.
It's stream reconstruction, something along those lines. The most popular is called Rapid Fire. Pardon me. That's a really popular module. Works quite well. I honestly prefer this one, but that's me.
If you want a cheap but still reliable one, Furious TrueD is a good one. Banggood has I forget what it's called. But you can flash one with the Achilles firmware, which is a really good firmware.
Yeah, there's one. Achilles is an open source firmware. The latest version does require you to pay for it, but it's like $20. Or you can just buy the TBS Fusion, which has Achilles built into it and has this feature as well. But if
you want to go a very good entry level goggle, that's the Fat Shark Attitude, and that comes with a built-in diversity receiver that you can still upgrade later.
Yeah, and it is actually like it's OLED screens, which is better than mine and his. In fact, our friend just bought that, and they're about $300, so they're actually
US.
Yeah, we have to keep converting to US because we know most of your US people. So yeah. All right, so we got a few more minutes left. I'm just waiting to see if anyone else decides to offer any questions. Audio's okay, video is stuttering a little. Well, it looks like we're having a bit of a video stutter. Oh yeah, I'm seeing some drop frames. Okay, that might have been because of our radios.
Oh, maybe.
I never thought of that.
Oh, okay. So
sorry about the story video, guys, if you're having problems with that.
So funny story. I have a couple very destructive drone stories. I've been harassed a couple times by drunk people on Canada Day. The Canadian version of July the 4th, I think. Anyway, so we were flying at a really big Canada Day race, and it was indoors. Huge. It was like a huge. I wouldn't call it gymnasium, maybe kind of like a really big ice rink. And there were probably like at least 1,000 people there. And we were ripping around. Obviously, there's a fence put up because we're flying the big ones. And Finn was doing registration, which is way at the front. So I was flying around, racing really fast against like some of the top pilots. And I hit a gate, and I fly out of control, way up to the ceiling, over the fence, and I try and recover so I don't kill anyone, except I accidentally
okay, pilots ready?
Put my quad upside down, and I full throttle into the ground on top of the battery. The battery explodes, fire everywhere, audience members scattering everywhere, and Finn kind of just casually picks it up, tosses it to the firemen, and they take it from there. But that was the first time I ever exploded a battery.
Yeah, that's that's not what I wanted to show. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get our browser working here. There's a number of events that we do that are actually really cool. There's like most of the events that we fly are something that we do. That's what I want. Window capture. There we go. So the things that we do, we're essentially just waiting for people to start up an event. There's a particular event that we go to quite often called Quads RS. They're guys like us. Oh, what am I doing here? Save. Thank you. Okay, so this is the actual event that Cornflakes was.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1, go.
So this is
So I'm Ryan with the West Coast Drone Racing League. We're putting on, this is our first season opener of many events here to be held at the
Hoping this
Cliffdale.
would have a little less talk.
And all these races, we're going to have a national championships in Montreal here this summer. So the guys that will move on from here will go to Montreal for that national championship.
Mostly, but
This is a really neat deal. We actually set up
It's all first-person view, so they'll be getting a video transmission back from the quad through the camera and getting.
We do a lot of different events like that that are. What's that?
5-minute warning.
Yeah, 5-minute warning. Okay, so we got. Yeah, so let me just go back to our questions to see if there's any more here.
We can publish VanWhoop. We can publish all the links. So we gathered a bunch of links. I'll send you our links as well to our Drone Racing League if you want to check that out. We're trying to get to 300 members. We're at like 260. So if you want to join, even just for like the lulls, do it. Go for it. I think we're probably the biggest in British Columbia right now. Probably Canada as well, but we haven't really sized ourselves up yet.
We're up there, and it's a lot of fun though. It's definitely the kind of thing where you get to experience stuff that you really don't get any other way. So I'll just let's see how much more maybe I won't do quite as badly this time. Oh, I'm in Acro Mode. It's okay, I got it. I was trying to do a mode that we call turtle mode. Rainbow Dash, you are noisy. So I was in Acro Mode and I didn't realize it, so that was totally my bad. I'm getting used to the throttle response of this thing now. It takes a little bit to get used to because it's actually quite a bit faster. Flying my Rainbow Dash there on the desk. Oh no! That's all right. Yeah, that was like crazy. Oops. I keep missing that last flag there. Oops. That last gate, I should say. I am not doing well. Wow.
Typically, when someone watches you, you start to do really badly. So you always get your really best moment when no one's watching you.
Yeah, that's always the way it is. Certainly, it's true for me.
The same with the racing. When you're at like a really serious race, when you're just practicing, it's fine. You're getting record times. But the minute the race starts, you're crashing on the first gate.
Yeah, and that's definitely what I'm doing. Ah, Dash, you got in the way. That's a Rainbow Dash by Janelle, by the way. All right. I'll finish this lap and I'll come in and we'll call that done. Whoops. Wow. I really am not good at that. Oh, I just knocked it off the chair. All right, we'll call that done. This is our little setup, by the way.
I find this environment also pretty hard to fly. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Hello, window. To the window, to the wall. Whoops. I'm usually a lot better than this, but you'll just have to take my word on that one. All right. Do I fly simulator at all? Yes, I absolutely
That's
do.
how you learn.
That is absolutely how you learn without breaking the incredible amount of money that you spend on all of this.
Simulator costs $20. A crash costs $20. Take your pick.
Yeah, the simulator will last you for years. These don't. Well, I shouldn't say that. Actually, my Freestyle quad has lasted me quite well, but even it has had its share of stuff go wrong. We actually had, I was flying with a friend, actually a fellow brony who I was out down in Seattle flying with him, and ended up flying into a swamp because he plugged into his quad, didn't realize that he was going to interfere with me. I lost my video, and I couldn't see where I went, and I landed as best I could because, of course, I can't see anything. And so at that point, the quad was gone. We had no idea where it was, and it was stuck in some bush, and we couldn't tell where. And anyway, it got so bad when I tried to throttle out, it actually, I don't have it here, it literally melted the one half of the 4-in-1 ESC. Like it caught fire.
I've caught a quad on fire. I've lost one in a river. I lost one in in a forest. I've lost a Mavic up in the middle of a mountain, like 5 kilometers away, because I forgot to set my return to home. So if you're flying up, you're gonna lose.
Yeah, you got to consider that these don't cost that much once you have the goggles and the transmitter and all that stuff.
This is the cheapest part.
This is the cheapest part, and the battery.
Radio, everything. Once you get everything, you can just stock up on these because they're really cheap.
And these are disposable in a lot of ways. When I say that, like, you just know that you're leasing this, you don't own it. Eventually, it will go back to the gods of FPV. They will call you and say, "I want my quad back," and then suddenly you're like, "Well, I guess I got to build another one," which isn't so bad when you're a tech geek like you and me. So. All right, guys, I think that's about all we have time for, but thank you very much for coming out. Hope you enjoyed this little kind of, demonstration and sort of introduction.
We're going to post the links?
Yeah, we'll post some links. We'll post them in, unfortunately, we don't have them here. Well, actually, no, I can share the window, so I'll do that first. We'll just bring that up.
Maybe don't look at that.
I'm just going to copy and paste this into a text thing on our screen here. So we're going to post this real quick. This is just some stuff for you to look at.
Vanwhoop.ca. Telegram is t.me/vanwhoop.
Yeah, go to vanwhoop.ca. Vanwhoop is.
I don't think we have our Telegram on Vanwhoop, so if you want our Telegram, join here. We should probably have made a Discord instead. Now that I think about it,
it's probably a good idea, but hey, whatever. Let's see if this is going to be visible or not. Well, that's definitely not visible. Let's make that larger. All right, let's put that up to 28. That'll work. All right, so here's some links for you guys to check out.
You can share these in the chat too if you can't.
We're going to share them in the chat. Yeah, I mean, it's probably a little hard to see this, and apologies for that, but feel free to check it out. I'll just actually turn our video off for a moment on our ending, and
bye.
You can check it out then. Thanks for coming, guys.
Wow, rude.